Hello, and welcome to this week's Terrace Bay Council meeting. The meeting opened with the traditional land acknowledgement, then the approval of the evening's agenda. Stacy Walwyn, a high school teacher in Terrace Bay, appeared in front of council to urge them to consider allowing youth access to the municipal gym. She argued that denying access was in contradiction of the town's strategic plan that promotes inclusion. Next up, Dennis Landry approached council with concerns over the Tesla charging station and suggested canceling the contract due to the backlash and negative perception of Elon Musk and Tesla at this time. He also would like to see improvements to the waterfront area in regards to easier access for seniors and people with mobility issues. Council then heard from Mark McVan of MCW Consultants with regard to reducing emissions and energy conservation at municipal buildings. Council accepted the various department reports, then moved to a closed session to address confidential issues. Now here's the agenda for this evening's meeting. Thank you for watching.
It's the hour 6:30 on Monday, May 5th, 2025. I call this meeting of the Council of the Township Terrace Bay to order. Declaration: the Council of the Township of Terrace Bay hereby acknowledges that we are in the Robinson Superior Treaty Territory, and the land on which we gather is the traditional territory for the Anishinaabe and the Métis. Additions, deletions, or amendments? None?
Just some amendments.
Yeah. Hearing none, we have a motion moved by Councillor St. Louis, second by Councillor Johnson. Resolve that council approve the agenda for the regular council meeting held May 5th, 2025, amended as follows. Move item 7.38 to 6C. Number 2, additional document as provided by Councillor Dubé be added as information to item 7.3B. Any other additions, deletions, amendments? All in favor? Carried. Any disclosures of interest? Hearing none. Adoption of minutes. We have a motion moved by Councillor Johnson, second by Councillor St. Louis. Resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting held April 7th, 2025 be approved as presented. All in favor? There. Okay, next delegation, Stacy, you're up.
Here?
Yeah.
Mayor Malachowski, councilors, township staff, and fellow community members. For anyone who may not know me, my name is Stacy Walwyn, and I am a longtime resident of Terrace Bay and an active gym member. I also think it is safe to say that I am one of the most consistent adults in the gym during periods of time that the underage users access. I am here tonight to advocate for expanded access to the Terrace Bay facility for users under the age of 18. I attended the last council meeting and noted several concerns raised regarding this issue. I would like to address these concerns as both a resident of Terrace Bay and a gym member before decision is made tonight. Safety concerns regarding students accessing this facility without on-site supervision. It is important to note that staff do not and cannot monitor gym of any user activity exclusively during their shifts. They are busy with other tasks and responsibilities. The gym and the hallway are monitored by security cameras, and the swipe card system, when used properly, tracks gym access. Additionally, a proposed pre-registration gym course would mitigate concerns by educating users about potential safety risks and proper gym behavior. Next issue, concern over the maturity level of unsupervised youth. This concern is a generalization that cannot be fairly applied to all underage users. As a high school teacher, I acknowledge that kids will be kids, but it is incorrect to assume all youth are immature and will disrupt the gym use of other members. Youth who register for the gym have a purpose and a goal. Any instances of immature behavior should be addressed on a case-by-case basis with the appropriate consequences as per the user agreement signed by the underage user and their parent and guardian. Next issue, improper use of equipment. A pre-registration gym course would be key in familiarizing new users with gym safety, regulations, etiquette, and proper form. Currently, there are no procedures in place to address this concern during business hours, nor for new adult gym users, many of whom also lack experience in these areas. It is unreasonable to assume that improper use of equipment is an issue exclusive to underage users. In fact, many adult members who require guidance and training to use the equipment correctly. There are many adult members who also require guidance and training to use the equipment correctly. Implementing a pre-registration course would benefit all new members, regardless of age, ensuring a safer and more informed and pleasant gym environment for everyone. Next issue, legal responsibility for supervision and liability. Underage users must have a parent or guardian sign their membership agreement, holding the user accountable for their actions. And my current gym membership does not hold me accountable for another person's actions. Next issue, increased fitness room usage, interrupting personal workout routines. The Terrace Bay Recreation Department is publicly funded and intended for all community members. Recreational facilities should provide a safe and welcoming space for all and encourage growth in usage. None of the programs and facilities should be provided exclusively for certain members. Increased membership would benefit the community through healthy lifestyle choices and increased user fees. Given our current economic situation, user growth should be encouraged, not limited. Limiting facility use for our youth contradicts the 2025-2029 strategic plan, where nearly 50% of respondents identified recreation and sports facilities as a top reason for making Terrace Bay a great place to live. Specifically, the expansion of the facility usage to underage users aligns with the following components of the Township of Terrace Bay 2024-2029 strategic plan. Pillar 1, healthy community, 1.2. Enrich our recreation facilities, programs, and services. Pillar 2, safe and sound infrastructure, 2.3. Explore alternative revenue streams. Over 70% of the respondents want the township to maintain spending and service levels in the areas of recreation, leisure, and special community. Increase gym membership which fund the gym facilities without additional resources being needed. Pillar 4, supportive environment, 4.1. Promote Terrace Bay's quality of life to boost investment and tourism. Before your vote tonight, please consider these additional points. At our last meeting, the gym rules were shown to all attendees. However, I can attest that many adult members do not adhere to these rules during business and non-business hours, nor are these infractions enforced with consequences. Facility rule violations are not exclusive to any age group. The Township of Terrace Bay has actively sought student input and encouraged student participation in the democratic process of municipal politics. These underage users have followed the correct procedures, addressing their concerns and needs, and this should be taken into consideration tonight. Finally, it is unjust and unreasonable to base a decision on the assumption that underage users will not follow the gym rules and are guilty of infractions before they even occur. Under the concerns provided, we are assuming guilt before innocence, while adult gym members are permitted to use the facilities with the understanding that they will follow all rules until evidence suggests otherwise. The same equitable assumptions should be extended to our underage users, ensuring fairness and inclusivity in our community. Mayor Malashewski and councillors, thank you for giving me a platform this evening. I respectfully ask that you consider my points and vote in favor of expanding gym access for underage users.
Thanks, Stacey. Thank you. Any questions of Stacey? No. Good. Thanks, Stacey. Dennis, you're up.
Hey, hello everybody. I don't know if everybody knows me, but I'm Dennis Landry and I'm from Terrace Bay. So, one of my concerns, and I've got a few, but the main one I want to discuss is the Tesla charging station. Okay, so this is a petition to ask the mayor and council to cancel the contract with Tesla. And like I said, I did a petition. I didn't do the whole town, and if it was necessary, I did in my area. But what I can say of the amount of people that I approached, which was in the neighborhood of 60, 58 signed. Okay, one person didn't sign it because we had Tesla shares. So and I'll go forward and I'll state my case. So we, the citizens of Terrace Bay, petitioned the mayor and council to cancel the contract with Tesla. Tesla pays the township $1,500 a year while offering little no benefit to the local economy. Tesla drivers typically remain in the car while charging without supporting local businesses, and there are no public washrooms or garbage facilities at the site, but that's not their fault. The Tesla chargers also block efforts to sell the lot they offer. Okay. Beyond local issues, Tesla faces serious financial and ethical concerns. The company has seen a 71% drop in profits, declining vehicle sales, and rising prices. The average cost of a Tesla now in Canada is $30,000 more in the last month and a half. Nobody's going to buy a Tesla. With little future market in Canada. Tesla has been stripped of $43 million in Canadian subsidies because basically they defrauded the government and they're under investigation. And they've been shut out of events such as the Vancouver Auto Show. Further, Tesla CEO Elon Musk has repeatedly disrespected Canada, undermining our national interests, threatening political interference, insulting Canadian leaders, and questioning our sovereignty. For the good of Terrace Bay, in line with the national action against Tesla, we urge the mayor and council to end this contract now. I'm not proposing that they remove the facility because I think other people will come forward, okay, because there's other players out there. So I'm going to add a few other points. So Elon Musk has engaged in activities that go against the national interests of Canada. He's used his wealth and power to influence our elections. He's a member of a foreign government that is attempting to erase Canadian sovereignty. Elon Musk has claimed Canada is not a real country. He's done Nazi salutes, so he supports the far right. He's insulted the Prime Minister. He's expressed his opinion that Canada should be the 51st state. A little while ago, there was a petition brought to the Parliament. Almost 400,000 Canadians petitioned for a citizenship to be revoked. Of course, that's something they can't do for what he did at the time. There are provisions, but he didn't meet them. Okay. Like I said, besides this drop occurred alongside the 9% decline in revenue, also falling short of analysts' expectations. And basically in Europe, they're done. Their markets have dropped 70%, 60%, all over Europe. So this is things that other jurisdictions in Canada have done. So Canada is investigating where Tesla defrauded government of $43 million of subsidies. So I don't know if you're aware, but the last couple of days of the EV rebate program, they claimed they sold 8,600 cars. And basically what they did is their dealers bought them, sat them on lots, defrauded the government. So Canada has frozen all rebate payments to Tesla and banned the electric vehicle maker from future EV rebate programs. And Doug Ford canceled Starlink. As of March 12, 2025, Tesla vehicles are no longer eligible for any Clean BC rebates. Toronto is promoting electric vehicles to reduce emissions. The only eligibility requirement for this benefit is to buy or lease an electric vehicle, meaning those who adapt will get a discount on registration and renewal fees, except for Tesla. So anybody but a Tesla. As of March 1st, 2025, Tesla vehicles are no longer eligible for this subsidy. The Yukon is also canceled Musk Starlink. And it said they were banned from the Vancouver Auto Shows. And then the Canadian Association of Professional Employers is calling for the Canadian Public Sector Pension Investment Board and all pension funds in Canada to divest from all Tesla holdings. So in light of the millions of Canadians who are working to fight for our country and supporting our country, buying our products, I think we should join them and agree with capitalism with conscience.
Next item, then.
Okay.
We'll ask questions after everything here all done.
Okay. And then the next thing I want to ask about is I know the town bought the town. Okay, Hazeley. Right now, there's no access to Hazeley for basically anybody. People from Scriber were coming to Taylor's Landing and using that launch. People in Terrace Bay were using that launch. There's no access. There's not only no access for anybody. There's no access with anybody with a disability. There's no access for seniors. I know people, seniors that have had to give up fishing on Hayes Lake, or you look around here, right? You have one dock here at the Lake Superior. That's it. And you know what? You need a good sized boat to go on Lake Superior. So, we need to provide access, as I said, to all our citizens. People are disabled. The Scriber side of Hayes Lake, the water is only about this deep. You've got to push your boat way, way out. No senior or nobody else is getting that. A while ago, I had asked the town if they could grade the Taylor's Landing Road as an intermediate step. Because again, people from Scriber will come to use that launch, right? And what I asked them to do is approach the mill, say, listen, we'll pay the operator and pay for the fuel, we'll grade the road. Don't take over the road, right? Just grade it a couple of times a year so people can use it. But I think that ultimately, I think the best idea would be to use the government dock. The bones are really good. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to get damaged by ice. It's a road to it. It's accessible pretty well evenly from Terrace Bay and Scriber. Perhaps that's something the community can work with Scriber, to bring that to fruition. The next thing I want to add is fish cleaning station down at the dock. There's no reason why we can't have a fish cleaning station. People are down there picking up garbage every day anyways. If you look at the provincial parks around here, they have beautiful fish cleaning stations, stainless steel. They're pretty well self. There's no bear issues. There's no reason why we can't have it. And my last thing that I want to mention is no wake zone at the boat launch. Try and launch my boat on there, take my boat off. There's some sea-doo down there whipping around, right? This is supposed to be a public launch. All public launches have no wake zones up to, quarter mile away, at least to the river, right? So I can't. So those are the issues that I've thought of.
Any questions on any?
You're no wake zone. So used to the sea-doos are out there ripping around. Have you noticed any other boats? I find the times I
boats come in really hot. Yeah,
Yeah.
really hot. You know what? There's no need to.
I haven't noticed, but if you have them, yeah. Okay. Government docks,
Government dock, no, okay. So when we bought the government dock, what was supposed to happen is that was when Buchanan was still here then, What was supposed to happen, because then he owned all that land, is he was gonna give us permission to use that road from the bottom of the one that goes down to Hayes Lake and then follows the shoreline.
Yep.
Okay? That never happened. We never got it finalized, and then he went bankrupt. And then that land was all sold off to a bankruptcy sale, and OPG owns everything. The only way I could see us ever going in there, we would have to go to OPG, ask for permission to use that as a road. And then maintain it. There
There is one more access.
straight down from the highway.
It's the railroad crossing.
$300,000 back in 2014, I believe it was. Okay, for a CBR, because they were gonna make us put in lights and wigwams and pay for the crossing and everything. I wouldn't even know what it would be now. That's why we were looking at going the other way.
There are other uses of that government dock. We're talking about expanding, the economy and physical activity. There's only one barrier between Terrace Bay and Long Line with navigation, so that could be promoted as a new route, and that whole thing could all tie into it.
The plans for that dock were to fix it. We were gonna deck the whole thing. We were gonna put picnic tables and some solar lights and the whole 9 yards. But it would boil down to we lost access to it. So it's a 5-acre parcel of land is landlocked. I wouldn't be opposed if everybody else is going. We can reach out to OPG, see whether or not they'd allow us to go down that road again, but I know it's their land now. They bought it on that bankruptcy. And just a little bit of background, guys, when that sale happened, we were looking at buying that land. And we were told point blank by OPG, it didn't matter what you did, we're gonna upgrade that. We don't want anybody. I don't know if they'll let us do it, but I know we're gonna have to ask permission to go there.
Thanks for that explanation.
Are there avenue that can be investigated to get funds to open that crossing. And like I said, this is something that could be shared between Terrace Bay and Scriber, right? There's a lot of people from Scriber share, use Hayes Lake just as much as we do, right? And I'm sure there's just as many people that be willing, to have a decent dock. I mean, that the two communities will use. I mean,
We can look at it then.
We'd have to do some homework and see whether CPR would even entertain it and what the cost would be, I guess.
No other question? Okay, thanks, Dennis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
About it. Reports from administration, John.
We actually moved,
Oh, yes,
yeah.
yes, okay.
Mark McMahon on the line.
Hello, everyone. Just give me a quick sec here. Do you have my screen up?
It is.
Okay, great. So yeah, thank you very much for having me. My name is Mark McMahon. I work for MCW Consultants. MCW Consultants is a mechanical and electrical consulting firm with about 500 employees across the country, including a office in Thunder Bay. And so they were obviously a big part of the project that we did with you guys. So the basic idea of the project was developing GHG emission reduction plans for 4 facilities. So those 4 facilities were the community center, obviously everything goes hand in hand with the swimming pool, as well as the cultural center, and then the water treatment plant. And so what a GHG emission reduction study is all these facilities use energy. They use energy usually in several different ways. First, they use electricity. Obviously, that electricity is generated somewhere by the power grid, and there's GHG emissions associated with that power. So whether it's, we have a relatively clean grid in Ontario, but it still emits GHG, so CO2, that causes climate change. And so there's the GHG emissions associated with electricity. There's also the GHG emissions associated with burning, whether it be fuel oil or propane, or any other fossil fuel that releases GHGs into the atmosphere. And so the whole goal behind this project is to find ways for Terrace Bay to reduce the GHG emissions associated with those 4 facilities. And the way we go through it is a multi-step process. Sometimes they sort of loop back on themselves a little bit. It's not always a straight linear thing. But the first thing we do is a site audit. In preparation for that site audit, we review documentation. So that includes drawings of the buildings, utility bills, building condition assessments, any other documentation that was provided by the town. And then we had 2 of our employees from the Thunder Bay office came and spent a few days going to the different sites. So they do walkthroughs. They focus a lot on mechanical and electrical systems. So, the heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems. In the community center, obviously the rink is a large part of the energy consumption. So they focused on that as well. They're climbing up on roofs. They're poking their heads in all the mechanical rooms, most rooms throughout the facility to sort of see what the energy usage is due to around there. And so they come back from site, they take a whole bunch of pictures, whole bunch of observations. And then the next step though is utility analysis. So we were provided utility bills for a number of years for the facilities, and we were able to do an analysis on how much electricity, natural gas, fuel oil, or sorry, not natural gas, propane and fuel oil were consumed on the sites, and the associated emissions with them. And then the next step was to create an energy model. That's what the group I lead at MCW really focuses on, is we create it's a 3D model of the building, and it uses all that information that we gathered from the drawings, from the site inspection, all that stuff, and creates a model of the energy consumed in that building over the course of an entire year. And it uses the weather data for that given year. So we use 2023. So it's all the temperature and humidity, all that goes into this energy model, and out comes the predicted amount of energy that the building uses. And what we do is we calibrate that energy model to the actual utility bills. And so we have this, some people call it a digital twin. So it's a representative model of the buildings themselves. And what that lets us do is we can then test things on those buildings. We have a version of your building that just runs digitally on our computers, and we're able to say, what if we replace your boiler, your fuel oil boiler, with an electric boiler? What if we replace it with a heat pump? And that's what these energy conservation measures are. So there's all these ways that we're going to save energy, and more specifically, ways that we're going to save GHG emissions as part of this study. And that it really is, the focus again is on GHG emissions. So it's not necessarily on measures, although they can be useful, that save energy costs, but it really is about saving GHG emissions. So we develop all these energy conservation measures. We apply them to each building. We find out how much energy they save, and then we had cost consultants do a costing exercise on them to get an idea of how much the capital cost would be. And so we have a whole bunch of energy conservation measures, and then we analyze them all, and then we take them and we package them all together into packages that met a certain savings thresholds for GHG reductions. And we analyze those scenarios and we produce the final report. So we're completed all these steps, and so we've delivered the final report. Now it's just a matter of presenting to you guys and showing you guys what we got up to. And I think probably the more useful thing is how you can actually use all this information. So the first is that the RFP and the funding behind it required that two scenarios be developed. One was called the minimum performance scenario. It's still quite ambitious. It's a bit of a there's a third thing that we crossed out there, but a minimum energy performance scenario that's 50% reduction in GHGs in 10 years and an 80% reduction in 20 years. And then a second one is a short-term deep retrofit, and it happens all inside 5 years. One thing that was true about the step 3 was we did try and take an asset management lens when we were developing the first two. So if something needed to be replaced right away, it's not like we wait. We don't say you've got a boiler that needs to be replaced. We don't replace it with a carbon heavy asset and then replace it 5 years later with a decarbonized version. We take into account the life span of things that are there. So as I sort of alluded to before, the big move for decarbonization is moving from gas or fossil fuels to electricity. Electricity emits far fewer GHG emissions than fossil fuels. So that's really where we focus a lot on. The other thing is if we can reduce loads in any way, so a lot of that's with heat recovery or other ways of moving heat around a building, we do that. Just using more efficient equipment is always a good idea. So a heat pump's more efficient than an electric resistance heater. LED lighting is more efficient than fluorescent. And then finally, the sort of last thing you do after you've done all those things, the sort of the very last step is to do what a lot of people think of when they think of reducing GHG emissions, which is offsetting grid emissions with something like solar PV. So putting solar PV, which you guys already have in some spots, on top of your roof, and that generates emissions in those, that generates electricity, which then offsets the grid emissions. So I'll show you what, this cultural center is a relatively simple building, but I'll show you what the sort of steps we laid out to achieve the savings that were required here. And we had a whole bunch of options that we sort of put together, or different measures that we evaluated, but we chose 4 as a way to sort of achieve the savings levels that were targeted here. The first, and so that's the top table is the 4 steps, the 4 measures that we chose to implement in this building, which would be a lighting retrofit. So there already are some LED there, but switching the rest to LED, a rooftop solar installation. So adding to that, exhaust air heat recovery. So what this is anytime you have ventilation in a building, you have cold air coming in and warm air leaving, right? And so what you can do is exchange heat between those 2 air streams. And so that's a good way of just reducing the amount of heating that's even required in the building. So that was step 3. And then the last step is kind of a big one, and that's to use electric boilers rather than it was a mixture of fuel oil and propane in that building. And so you can see in the chart below, it's representative of the steps that we took to get there. So on the left-hand side, the baseline, that's purple, that's the total amount of GHG emissions that this building currently has or had in 2023. And then as we do each step, you can see the first one, the lighting retrofits, is actually kind of not there at all because it has a very small effect, but it saves some money, so we do it. And then the next one, EO1, that's the rooftop solar, that reduces the GHG emissions by another chunk. The exhaust heat recovery by another sort of 5, sorry, missing a graph on there, but 5 tons of GHG emissions. And then the big step is that electric boiler, right? Because that has a massive reduction and brings your final GHG emissions down to something quite low. I think it was around like 3 tons per year. And so that's a large reduction in GHG emissions, more than 80% even, over the course of the program. And that's sort of what we did for all 4 buildings. I'm not going to show you all 4 because it sort of gets a little bit long-winded and repetitive, but I just wanted to give you the cultural center as an example of what happens. Now, I think sort of the more important thing is what you guys actually do with this report. The way these are structured is they have very hard goals. This 80% reduction in 20 years, that's an ambitious goal. And that takes, honestly, a lot of money. It takes money in capital costs. Some of this equipment is very expensive. And then now, especially with the change in the carbon pricing that we have, that used to help, carbon tax used to help pay for this sort of stuff because it made switching from fossil fuels to electricity a less expensive endeavor. But without that, it becomes very expensive. And so your utility costs will increase as a result of these measures as well. So increased capital costs, increased utility costs, it makes for a hard sell. So keep that in mind when you look at all this stuff. But one thing you can look at this is don't look at it as a structure, the only way for you to get to where you want to go to reduce GHG emissions. It's just a menu of options. The report has, although the cultural center only had 4 measures shown there, there's, I can't remember, 10 or more that were evaluated. Some of those might become more attractive as technology changes or as prices change, or you set different goals. So using this sort of report as just like an outline, a menu, not a strict sort of plan, and that it can be a lot more valuable that way. And you'll find that you can actually get some value. You can look at projects that you can evaluate or that you can use. A lot of this, if it is going to get built, comes from external funding sources. And this, the work that we've done in this report can then be used and leveraged in those applications for funding, whether it's from the federal government through GICB applications, or there's lots of other, Federation of Canadian Municipalities, other funding sources out there. So that's another way that this report can be used. The analysis that was done on the back end, it allows you to sort of take projects and run with them without having to do the whole 80% reduction, and pay millions and millions of dollars. So that's about all I have. So thank you for your time. I would love to, I know I went fast. I'm a fast talker, but I'd love to answer any questions. it's turned out to be a very good project, and we've been really happy to work with Renee and Luke on this. And so I'd love to answer any questions you guys have if you do.
Any questions from the table? No questions, Mark.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Presentation.
Thank you. If anyone does have any questions in the future, a number of you have my email address. Feel free to shoot an email or give me a phone call, whatever it is. We're always happy to sort of engage with clients well after we've finished our deliverables. So yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion moved by Councillor St. Louis, second by Councillor Johnson. Resolve that council accepts the presentation from MCW on the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. All in favor? Carried. John?
Hey, your worship. First up is the report on the sale of 33, or the sale listing for 3335 Simcoe Plaza. So it's been in the ownership of the township since the township direct administration invested in the property at the April 7th, 2025 meeting, following an unsuccessful tax sale. The property contains the former Terrace Bay bakery as well as the apartment above, as well as the Nugget next door. They became one last owner. So administration is determined that the township has no use for the property and is therefore proposing it be declared surplus and listed for sale with W. Christie from Remax Generations Realty. Administration is recommending this property be listed with the same local realtor we have been using for other property sales. Section 3 of Bylaw 33/2007 being a bylaw to establish procedures for sale of real property estates. Clerk shall be responsible for obtaining one or more appraisals during prior to the consideration by council of the bylaw to sell, except in such cases where an appraisal is not required by the act and not in the opinion of clerk advisable in the circumstances. So there's a number of factors that lead to the opinion of obtaining an appraisal in this situation is not advisable. And the initial recommended listing price should say $59.9 there, as recommended by the realtor, is appropriate. And some of those reasons include historical value, success with sales of vacant township-owned lots, previous experience and cost of obtaining an appraisal in a timely manner, advice from our realtor, and the current commercial real estate market in Terrace Bay Scarborough area. Financial implications. The recommended listing price of $59.9 is not included in the 2025 budget. Any revenue from this sale was we not own the property at the time when the budget was passed. So the options are: the council declares the subject property, roll number 5854, ending in 200-710, legally described as Plan M124, lots 10 and 11, Part Lot 12, and RP 55R 4716, Part 1, Parcel 18609, and 242, and 201-169, municipally address is 33-35 Simcoe Plaza, be declared as surplus, and that the council approves of signing a list agreement with W. Christie for Remax Generations Realty and the appropriate bylaw be brought forward.
Any questions? Thank you. Okay, we have a motion moved by Councillor St. Louis, second by Councillor Johnson. Resolve that council declares the subject property roll number 58540000200710 legally described as Plan M124 lots 10 and 11, lot 112, and RP 55R 4716, Parcel 1 PCL 18609 and 20042 and 20169 municipally addressed as 33-35 Simcoe Plaza. It's declared as surplus, and that council approved the signing of the listing agreement for $59,900 with Wendy Christie from Remax Generations Realty, and that the appropriate bylaw be brought forward. All in favor? Okay. Next one, cemetery pricing, Don.
Okay, and defer to my colleague across the table.
Okay, so background is the BAO, the Bereavement Authority of Ontario, requires yearly trust reporting on the care and maintenance fund and then / account for care and maintenance charged on lots, columbarium niches, and markers. This is part of the annual license renewal process required for the operation of the Terrace Bay Memorial Cemetery. Care and maintenance charges, as prescribed by the BAO, are the greater of either a percentage of the sale price or a specific dollar amount. For example, the current price for a lot in the Terrace Bay Cemetery is $258. BAO requires that care and maintenance amount to be 40% or $175, whichever is greater. 40% of 258 is 103.20. Therefore, we must charge 175 for care and maintenance on that lot. Columbarium and niche care and maintenance fees are 15% of the purchase price, or 165, whichever is greater. Markers are subject to care and maintenance depending on their size. These fees are collected by Lakehead Monument, typically in Thunder Bay, and then remitted to the township. If upon filling out the report, it is determined that not enough care and maintenance has been charged, the report cannot be submitted to the BAO. Failure to submit a report could result in penalties and at worst suspension of the cemetery license. So the current discussion is during the 2024 trust reporting on care and maintenance fund account, administration became aware of discrepancies between what the BAO requires the township to charge and what the list price shows. So included in the report you guys got was the price list, the current price list for the Terrace Bay Cemetery with the additional column showing the charges required by the BAO. Council will note that the care and maintenance on the lots has been overcharged, while the care and maintenance on niches has been undercharged. While the township does not install markers, it would be beneficial to citizens that our price list display the proper care and maintenance fees to avoid confusion when purchasing a marker at Lakehead Monument or another facility. So administration is therefore submitting an updated price list for council's approval. Additional changes include the removal of the infant/child burial charges and an attempt to make the list clearer and easier to read, but the only fee changes are those regarding care and maintenance. Council will also note the removal of the fees in respect to infant burials. So the financial implications are none. So your options are that council approve the updated cemetery price list with amendments to care and maintenance fees, and that the appropriate bylaw be brought forward, or B, that the council does not approve the updated cemetery price list with amendments to care and maintenance fees and direct administration otherwise. So we are recommending option A.
Questions? Okay, we have a motion moved by Councillor Johnson, seconded by Councillor St. Louis, to resolve the council approve the updated cemetery price list with amendments to care and maintenance fees, and that the appropriate bylaw be brought forward. All in favor? Carried. Summer meeting schedule.
Hey, your worship. So we've been chatting the last few meetings about potentially informally really about changing the summer meeting schedule for one meeting for the summer months. From administration's perspective, we would recommend that we just do August, July. We're probably gonna have a busy June, so we might want to keep the second meeting in June. But if council's in favor of that, we can bring a resolution forward to deviate from the procedural bylaw for the summer months and have one meeting for July and for August and schedule which meetings accordingly.
Yeah, we usually only have one meeting in August anyway.
Yeah.
For one meeting for each of those months.
One meeting for July.
Correct, one in July and one in August, just to be clear.
I'm with that, because if something came up, we could call an emergency meeting.
Any questions on that?
Okay, we'll bring the resolution forward then. Thank you.
Next item, John, is the delegations for AMO.
So that was just recently released. The delegation application requests are open currently. And really administration just brings the requests forward to council. If council has some specific delegations they'd like to ask from administration's perspective. The same one we've been asking for the last little while with respect to the mill, its sale, the forestry industry from that minister. I would recommend we put that one in again.
Yeah.
But that's what administration had for now.
And the infrastructure too.
Sorry, thank you for my Marilyn Shusky. So the infrastructure delegation we've been in the last few years as well too is important because there's still no federal share in that program. So the province has released new infrastructure funding, which we are going to apply for, but typically there's a federal third, and there is no federal third currently. So that would be something we can lobby the provincial minister to lobby the federal minister for.
Yeah, if anyone has any ideas or whatever, get back to John. I think May 30th they have to be in by.
Yeah, it's I think it's might be the first May 30th, correct. So we do have one more meeting in between, so we can put it on that agenda as well to finalize this.
Okay.
The next item was Ryan, spring cleanup.
Each spring, council has approved temporary relief in bylaw 29/2014 to allow residents to clean their lawns to deposit winter sand on the street.
Administration will provide notice to residents on what is not permitted. Residents will be reminded again prior to the second round, which typically takes place for review. So administration is recommending continuing this practice with spring 2025. Residents would be allowed to deposit winter sand only on the street to be picked up by the sweeper. There's no financial implications and two options. Option one, the council approved temporary relief from bylaw 29/14 to allow residents to deposit winter sand on the streets. Option two, the council does not approve temporary relief from bylaw 29/14 to allow residents to deposit winter sand on the street. Recommendation is option one.
Any questions? Pretty straightforward. The motion moved by Councilor St. Louis, second by Councilor Johnson, resolve that council approve temporary relief from bylaw 29-2014 to allow residents to deposit winter sand on the street. All in favor?
Yep. Residential spring cleanup. Each spring, the township, as well as the township, described or scheduled a residential spring cleanup that allows residents to put yard waste and other household items by the curb outside of the container tag regular collection program. Current discussion, the administration suggests the cleanup week be held May 10th to the 16th, 2025. And there's an attached notice there. There are some financial implications. There will be a loss of landfill revenue as the site will be free of charge during the period of May 10th to May 16th, 2025. Landfill will be open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. from Saturday, May 10th to Friday, May 16th, but still closed on scheduled days. Additional costs and revenues have been included in the 2025 operating budget. And as I know, there'll be no charge for the Tuesday garbage collection. Two options for you. Option one, the council approve the 2025 residential spring cleaning week for during the period of May 10th to 16th, as outlined, and the fees be waived at Thursday night deliberation. Option two, that council does not approve the conditions for the 2025 spring cleanup week and request administration to make changes as directed. The recommendation is option one.
Any questions? Okay. Okay, the motion moved by Councilor Johnson, second by Councilor St. Louis, resolve that council approve 2025 residential spring cleanup week to occur during the period of May 10th to May 16th, 2025, as outlined, and that the applicable fees be waived Terrace Bay landfill for the duration. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Page Stacy.
John, 7.3B, I'll be delivering these for Mr. Bedard, who's away. So the first item up after the NCW presentation, your worship, is B, which is Chevy Traverse surplus. So the town owns a 2015 Chevy Traverse that acted as a community health transportation vehicle until 2019, when the township purchased a new Chevrolet Traverse. Since 2019, recreation staff have used that 2015 Traverse for daily operations. With the purchase of a new community health transportation vehicle earlier this year, administration is recommending that the 2015 Traverse be surplus and the 2019 Traverse now be used for recreation operations, but it can also be used as a spare community health transportation van. So the 2015 Traverse has 287,000 kilometers on it and a Kelly Blue Book value of $975 to $4,900 roughly. Proceeds from the sale of not being budgeted for will be allocated to the annual surplus deficit. The options are option A, that council approve the surplus of the 2015 Chevy Traverse, and option B, that council does not approve that surplus of the 2015 Traverse and directs administration otherwise. Administration is recommending option A.
Any questions?
Like, practical, I assume the logo will be taken off the vehicle before we surplus it.
Correct.
Okay, we have a motion moved by Councilor Johnson, seconded by Councilor St. Louis, resolved that council approve the 2015 Chevy Traverse be declared surplus, and that administration arranged for its disposition by sale, auction, or otherwise. All in favor? Next one, the NOHFC agreement, John.
Thank you, your worship. At the October 7, 2024 council meeting, council passed a resolution stating that council support the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation, or NOHFC, application 7510280, Terrace Bay Multi-Sport Court, and that council commits to covering costs and cost overruns for the expenditures identified in that NOHFC application 7510280. In February 2025, council was made aware that the township's application was successful and a legal agreement will be forthcoming. At the time, NOHFC requested that the information was not publicly announced, as NOHFC would be contacting the township regarding an official announcement. Current discussion. NOHFC has sent through a legal agreement that will fund 90% of project costs up to $185,335. The project-related activities that NOHFC will fund are acquiring professional services for as-built drawings, electrical hookup, and purchasing equipment, including tennis posts for nets, basketball, and pickleball, and in-ground tennis net anchors, lighting fixtures, coatings for an acrylic playing surface, and paints for the playing lines. It is important to note that since application 7510280 was submitted, NOHFC has updated their submission portal, which results in this project being renumbered to 75001202. Financial implications are discussed above. These amounts are allocated for the 2025 municipal budget and the resolution CR 78/2025. So the options are option A, that council approve NOHFC agreement 75001202 and the appropriate bylaw be brought forward. Option B, that council does not approve that agreement and direct administration otherwise. Administration is recommending option A.
Any questions? Okay, we have a motion moved by Councillor St. Louis, second by Councillor Johnson. Resolve that council approve the NOHFC agreement 75001202 in respect of construction of the multi-sport court and that the appropriate bylaw be brought forward. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next one is the Canada Summer Jobs Agreement. John?
Thank you, Your Worship. To offset summer student wages, administration annually applies to the federal program, Canada Summer Jobs, or CSJ, and the provincial program, Summer Employment Opportunities, SEO. In 2023, the township received $18,474 in combined provincial and federal summer student funding and $23,038 in 2024. The 2025 requested and received amounts are below. So from the province, we requested 10, and we received 3. So we requested about approximately 37.5, and we got 11,003. And from the federal government, we requested it's 14, and we received 11. And the funding there would be 55,000 if we received everything we requested. Instead we're getting 26, almost 26.5. We've connected to both provincial and federal program administrators on how to improve our approval ratio. Both representatives have stated there's not enough funding to support every organization's full request, but encourage us to apply for the maximum again next year, as we do every year. Financial implications, the township has received 11,223 in SEO funding and will receive 26,488 in CSJ funding. Should council choose to enter into the CSJ agreement 0204164559. So the options are that council approves the Canada Summer Jobs Agreement 0204164559 and the appropriate bylaw be brought forward. Option B is that council does not approve the Canada Summer Jobs Agreement and directs administration otherwise. Administration is recommending option A.
Any questions?
Brief comment, just I mentioned to Luke previously about the ski hill and looking to have some similar funding to hire attendants or lifties for the ski hill. And I'll just keep talking to Luke about that, but hopefully this is a summer job, obviously, but if some similar program exists in the winter time, that we should be looking into that as well.
Okay, we have a motion moved by Councillor Johnson, second by Councillor St. Louis. Resolve that council approves the Canada Summer Jobs Agreement 0204164559 and that the appropriate bylaw be brought forward. All in favor? Carried. Next item is the fitness room access.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay.
So individuals under the age of 18, so this is a follow-up from Luke's report from the last meeting council were on the 7th. Individuals under the age of 18 are unable to access the Terrace Bay fitness room outside of regularly staffed hours unless accompanied by a family member 18 years of age or older who will be responsible for the member. On March 17, 2025, council received a letter from a group of high school students requesting expanded access to the fitness room. At the April 7th council meeting, administration recommended that council amend the fitness room rules and regulations, item 4 in those regulations, to state members under 16 years of age shall only be granted access to the facility during regular municipal office hours unless accompanied by a fitness room member 16 years of age or older who accepts responsibility. Council opted to defer decision until later meeting to consider alternative amendments to the fitness room rules and regulations. So current discussion, there is a new amending resolution for council circulated before email, but I'll read note. That's the final version of it. So one of my reports. So the amended resolution, so resolution 8025, 79, the number's a bit off, but the council amend fitness room rules and regulations, item 4 to state municipal members under 16 years of age shall only be granted access to the facility during regular municipal office hours unless accompanied by a fitness room member 16 years of age or older who accepts responsibility. Is hereby amended to state, resolved that council amend fitness room rules and regulations, item 4 to state members between the ages of 14 or grade 9, whichever comes first, and 18 years old will have access entry to the fitness room from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week, including statutory holidays. Parents or legal guardians must sign a waiver of liability acknowledging the risks and accepting responsibility. It is strongly recommended that youth members under 18 be accompanied by a member aged 18 or older. All members under the age of 18 must complete a mandatory orientation covering safe fitness practices and etiquette prior to activating their membership. Current members prior to May 2025, 16 to 18 shall be grandfathered in and not required to take the orientation. The mandatory orientation course and process shall be established by administration, taking into account consideration council's desire to create a safe environment for all users. Go back to this. So administration is recommending against the alternative option at this time. If council's intention is to have that no individuals under 18 are in the fitness room past 11 p.m. Recreation staff have limited opportunity to enforce this other than after the fact complaints. The suggested wording changes will have entry to the fitness room, so to the menu resolution. Implementing a mandatory orientation closes the fitness room until orientations can be scheduled. So we dealt with that, but this is the report that as written prior to dealing with that with the resolution. So it's going to be a bit out of order. With the existing wording, individuals have been using the facility for years and no longer have permission to work out until their mandatory orientation is completed. So see the amended resolution deals with that, so we don't have to worry about that part. No details were provided in the proposed mandatory orientation. At the time, we didn't have them at the time of writing. Administration will require clarification on information council would like to see for proposed mandatory orientation and if the orientation be conducted by staff or by a third party. Since the April 7th meeting, administration is connected with a local fitness trainer and certified personal trainer who stated they would offer a 1 hour one-on-one orientations for $50 fee or 2-hour sessions for groups of up to 4 for $80. Within this session, the instructor would cover safety and etiquette, include scenarios where participants would learn proper techniques. Additionally, the course would provide a startup document for each participant, that includes basic workouts, form tips, and glossary of workout terms and exercise to help them once the orientation is completed. If staff were to host 1 or 2 hour orientations for all 231 members, the cost and wages likely be several $1,000s. Implementing a mandatory orientation would likely eliminate daily and weekly passes, as is likely third-party instructors would have immediate availability to teach an orientation course. If the individual came to the fitness room in the evening, either the front counter would need to be unstaffed for an hour, or orientations would need to be unavailable. The council approves the mandatory orientation. Administration recommends considering a grandfathering system or implementation for this rule for only new members under a certain age. So in terms of financial implications, not at this time, depending on which way we go. For option A, so it's the resolution I read out earlier. Option B is going back to the resolution that administration proposed at the April 7th meeting, which reads, again, just for a reminder, that council amend fitness room rules and regulations, item 4 to state members under 16 years of age shall only be granted access to the facility during the regular municipal office hours, unless accompanied by a fitness room member 16 years of age or older who accept responsibility. And option C, that council does not amend the fitness room rules and regulations, stay status quo. Administration's recommendation is remaining option B from the April 7th meeting.
Any questions?
Just on the amended resolution that I proposed, sent by email, it addresses, I think, some of a lot of the concerns that were addressed in the administration's report, which is why they still deferred to the original, which I think is fair. And so just when you read it out there, John, one of the concerns was the difference between access and entry. And so the original one that I typed up, I actually crossed out the word access. Entry just implies that at 11 p.m. that card cannot be swiped anymore, as opposed to the option to access.
It just makes sense. Cross out what you meant to cross.
Yeah.
I think it's the first line.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Access. Actually, as for the amendment, as you read it, I think that answers some of the questions, as well as putting the orientation back and what that orientation looks like. I think that puts that back into administration's hands where it should be, keeping some of those concerns, I think, within the control of the administration that we have power to take responsibility for. Also, just would acknowledge Councillor Dubé's hard work in putting together orientation action items that you work with the administration on to implement. And again, just sort of a side note, orientation can be as simple as putting together a YouTube video with a link for new users to watch, participate in. And I think that's probably it. That makes sense.
Yeah. I just quickly, I just want to thank John and Gary and everybody else who's here who's had input into this and gone to refine this. I know it is administration's job to have a mandatory orientation and rightly so is having or asking within this more direction. And as Councillor Duno had mentioned, having grandfathered in sort of alleviates a lot of the issues raised in this particular instance. And then what it looks like for new members. And in the email I sent earlier, the document that I attached, looking at like, well, reviewing gym etiquette. And I think to myself, like, if you're starting at any gym ever, regardless, like if it's a new gym, if I'm from out of town, be like, yeah, here's how the sauna works. Here's, where your lockers are. Here's how the lock system, like the locker works. Here's where the spray bottle is. Just a quick brief, and then an etiquette video. It would be great. Like, you're talking about 1 minute or a short YouTube video. And in the thing that I sent to you guys in the document that I put forward, I found one from a reputable workout sporting goods place that was 1 minute long, and having a QR code that somebody could scan in potentially and watch it right there and then sign off right away, and then have that guided walkthrough by whoever's working at that time. And again, I really wanted to highlight one of the things brought forward in this, and when I was speaking to Luke informally about it was, and Luke has reached out to ED at the high school, but it's really important to keep our partnership with Lake Superior High School, and specifically, in my opinion, ED or whoever's running the Healthy Active Living, because she's the one bringing them into here, who's showing them the etiquette and how to use the equipment safely, and that alleviates that cost of, say, bringing her in. So we brought her in now. Maybe you pay an orientation fee or how to use this equipment, but moving forward, really leaning on that partnership to take away that cost in the future. And these students already will have that knowledge and know-how when they use it. So those are a few things that I outlined in that document that would, again, alleviate this mandatory orientation problem.
But I also just propose, I appreciate the enthusiasm of everyone in the room tonight, particularly from our students, and they see your input is valuable. I bet some of these guys would have wanted me on an orientation video if I had better etiquette. So Mark Brady just
sounds like a culminating activity.
Sounds like a good opportunity. Just throw that out there.
Yep.
Okay, before I read this motion, I'm gonna move that we have a recorded vote on this, okay? Okay, we have a motion moved by Councillor Duno, seconded by Councillor Dubé, resolution 80-25, resolve the council amend fitness room rules and regulations. Item 4, to state members under 16 years of age shall only be granted access to the facility during regular municipal office hours unless accompanied by a fitness room member 16 years of age or older who accepts responsibility. It's hereby amended to state, resolve that council amend fitness room rules and regulations. Item 4 to state, members between the ages of 14 or grade 9, whichever comes first, and 18 years old will have entry to the fitness room from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week, including statutory holidays. Parents or legal guardians must sign a waiver of liability acknowledging the risks and accepting responsibility. It is strongly recommended that youth members under 18 be accompanied by a member aged 18 or older. All members under the age of 18 must complete a mandatory orientation covering safe fitness practices and etiquette prior to activating their membership. Current members prior to May of 2025, 16 to 18 shall be grandfathered in and not require an orientation. The mandatory orientation course and process shall be established by administration, taking into consideration as council's desire to create a safe environment for all users. Okay, now we're voting on this amendment. Councillor Dunel, yay, yes. Councillor Dubé?
Yeah.
Councillor Johnson?
I have problems. No, not against.
Councillor St. Louis?
No.
And I am a no also. So that was defeated.
We can return back to the original motion from April 7th, which that one was amending, but that was defeated, so now you go back to the original motion.
The motion moved by Councillor Dubé, second by Councillor Johnson, resolved that council amend fitness room rules and regulations. Item 4, the state members under 16 years of age shall only be granted access to the facility during regular municipal office hours unless accompanied by a fitness room member 16 years of age or older who accepts responsibility. All in favor?
Any debate on the matter? So, we just had an opportunity for discussion on the amendment. I would have liked to hear some of that before going to the vote. So since this is that chance, if it's okay with the chair, I'd like to hear their reasoning and response. As I think the public deserves to hear an argument against. We had 2 for, maybe 2 against, so I think this would be the chance to hear that.
Has been much commentary from you guys as we've been moving this along. It'd be nice to hear. I agree with Councillor Duno.
Honestly, the reason I'm voting for the original vote was because I think it covers almost all of the needs that students want. They get access anytime, as long, during regular business hours and after business hours, as long as they come in with a member 16 or older, they get in.
Yeah.
We talked about it. This follows. We talked about
Other areas.
other areas,
Driver, the same
Nevergan, they're all doing the same thing. And I think it's a starting point. We start here. In a year, if somebody wants to change it, we can come back and look at it and open it up even farther. But I think in my opinion, this is where we should start.
My thoughts were it had good coverage, was acceptable by staff, and as you put it, they're entrusted to, in their opinion, do what's best in their recommendations to us. And it's a good step. And as Councillor St. Louis said, we can revisit this and look at changing whether this works as well as we want, whether we should make more changes to it.
What stops them from just going over the ties, Jim, and we lose them all? Because that's a very real thing that's been conveyed to me by all of them. So we're going to lose our future generations in here. Why, like what's going to happen in 3 years if they all go into the tie gym when I switch? Lost revenue. It goes against the rec master plan. It goes against our strategic plan. That's my opinion. And we're losing our youth. We're further ostracizing our youth when we want them to be engaged. And we're coming around and we're telling them we don't want them. That, a lot of these kids want to use it before they go to work. They don't have to have a 16-year-old there. If they want to come in, they're 15, and they want to work out before they go to work on the weekend, or say like Christmas break, they don't need to have that. And again, that's just my opinion.
Just through the chair, I appreciate your comments, both of you. I definitely appreciate your opinion, and I know you've heard this from other people. So it's your own opinion. There's a opinion of the public that exists there. I appreciate that. And to your point, Bert, I generally think administration does a great job bringing reports to our table, and we almost always go with the recommendations. The only thing I'd push back on you is that all the concerns that administration had were addressed in the amended motion. And so I kind of repeat the question of what in the amended motion doesn't sit well with you, which is now defeated, obviously, but I just wouldn't mind if you have a minute to hear that. Well, just the
fact, I think that an older person should be there, you know, after the hours, just to have more experience. They're a better supervisor, or watch out for things that could possibly go wrong. And I don't think we're ostracizing anybody. We're looking at the way of accessing the weight room and that in a way that exercises due diligence. We don't want anybody to be, you know, going off and to another weight room and losing anybody. But at the same time, I think we have a responsibility to look what we think is the best use of the facility and the best accessing responsibly. Yes. The result, we have a motion moved by Councillor Dubé, second by Councillor Johnson, resolve that council amend fitness room rules and regulations. Item 4 to state members under 16 years of age shall only be granted access to the facility during regular municipal office hours unless accompanied by a fitness room member 16 years of age or older accepts responsibility. All in favor? Carried. AC,
So last year, the Township of Terrace Bay held its annual Household Hazardous Waste Day on May 31st, 2024, outside in the Tourist Information parking lot. This event takes place with the assistance of GFL Environmental, who oversees the final sorting and safe disposal of our household hazardous waste. All applicable protocols were considered and put into place for safety of residents, volunteers, contractors, and staff who participated. The event successfully diverted the following from our landfill. So approximately altogether, from the list above, approximately 3,536 kilograms of hazardous waste was successfulully diverted from our landfill in 2024. This is an increase from 2021 and 2023, but a decrease from 2020. So our current discussion is that the Township of Terrace Bay will be having its annual Household Hazardous Waste Day Friday, May 30th, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Terrace Bay Information Center parking lot. Volunteers and municipal staff assist residents with drop-off process, accepting the waste and sorting it with the assistance of on-site GFL environmental staff who oversee the safe disposal of our household hazardous waste. Yeah. Household Hazardous Waste Day is available to all residents of Terrace Bay as well as drivers. So eligible household hazardous waste materials for drop-off are antifreeze, compact fluorescent light bulbs and tubes, fertilizers, fungicide, herbicide, insecticides, pesticides, and containers, oil containers of 30 liters or less, and used oil filters, paints and coatings along with containers, pressurized containers such as propane tanks and fire extinguishers, rechargeable batteries, but please separate them from the single-use batteries, solvents and paint strippers. Electronic waste and car batteries will not be accepted, and we do not accept commercial or industrial. So financial implications, this event is budgeted yearly, costs vary year to year depending on the type and amount of waste collected. There are no options at this time as this report is presented as information.
questions? I'll answer this before. Do we split this cost with Scriber?
Yes.
There's a resolution.
Yeah.
Just accepting this straight trading.
See, we have a motion moved by Councillor St. Louis, second by Councillor Johnson, resolve the council accepts the report on household hazardous waste as information. All in favor? Carried. The next item, circle tour.
Yes, Lake Superior Circle Tour blog package, 6 reasons to stay in Plain Terrace Bay. So as part of the budgeted and scheduled Lake Superior Circle Tour blog marketing package, the administration coordinated an advertising campaign with Ontario Superior Country. This service came with a cost of $1,000 plus HST for Superior Country to develop an article and promote it through social media advertising. $200 of the $1,000 blog package was dedicated directly to promoting the campaign on social media platforms, also known as boosting posts. The article lives indefinitely on the Lake Superior Circle Tour website and will continue to be viewed by future website visitors. The focus of this blog marketing package was the 6 reasons to stay in Plain Terrace Bay. There is a link there for you to be able to click on and go check it out yourselves if you'd like to read it. So our current discussion is that included in this report is a summary of the marketing package with its results. So summarized below is that out of the $200 spent, the timeline for social media was through March 25th to 31st. The link clicks were 465, the reach was 41,640, impressions was 62,821, and total engagement was 661. Website results, so this is viewed directly on the website, not through social media. Its views were 532. The average time spent on the page was a minute and 5 seconds, so that's really, really good, showing that people are actually reading the post. And then outbound clicks, so clicks that direct users to our community businesses from the article, which is really beneficial, is 19. So financial implications, as mentioned, this campaign was included in the 2025 advertising budget for our council. The report is presented as informational.
Any questions? The motion moved by Councillor Johnson, second by Councillor St. Louis, resolve the council accepts the report on the Lake Superior Circle Tour as information. All in favor? The next information items. Vacation. We have a motion moved by Councillor, second by Councillor Dubé, resolve that council approve the donation of the rental or a reduced rate rental for the arena for the 40th anniversary celebrations of the Cold Catholic Franco Terrace. Any questions on that motion? I'm not sure what's the reduced rate gonna be.
I was just gonna see what do we do, reducing it or eliminating?
It's up to you. It's up to
Up to
council. I left the option open if you wanted to reduce it or to eliminate it entirely. It's the 50th anniversary. It's pretty significant for the school, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's council's right. So
I think
I think
zero.
we waive it, yeah, myself.
Everyone in favor of 0 for it?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor, I guess, so carried. The next item is Lake Superior High School. We have a motion moved by Councillor St. Louis, second by Councillor Juneau. Resolve that council approve the request from Lake Superior High School for the sponsorship of boutonnieres and corsages for the 8 Terrace Bay students at the 2025 graduation ceremony. Any questions on that motion? All in favor? Carried. Was we have a motion moved by Councillor Juneau, second by Councillor Dubé, resolve that council approve a bylaw to declare the subject property roll number 5854000002000710 legally described as Plan M124 lots 10 and 11, PT lot 12 and RP 55R4716, partial 1, PCL 18609 and 20042 and 20169 municipally addressed as 33 to 35 Simcoe Plaza declared as surplus and authorize the signing of a listing agreement for $59,900 with Wendy Tricia for Remax Generations Realty. Be read first, second, third time, and finally passed. Signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed and numbered on the 5th day of May 2025. All in favor? Carried. Next, we have a motion moved by Councillor Dubé, second by Councillor Duno, resolved that a bylaw to amend bylaw 1-2010 respecting the Terrace Bay Cemetery be read first, second, third time, and finally passed. Signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed and numbered on the 5th day of May 2025. All in favor? Carried. Next bylaw moved by Councillor Duno, second by Councillor Dubé, resolved that council approve the bylaw to enter into an agreement with the Northern Ontario Heritage Corporation number 75001-202 for funding related to the multi-sport court. Be read first, second, and third time, and finally passed. Signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed and numbered on this 5th day of May 2025. All in favor? Carried. Next bylaw moved by Councillor Dubé, second by Councillor Duno, resolved that council approve the bylaw to enter into an agreement with the Canada Summer Jobs Program. Be read first, second, and third time, and finally passed. Signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed and numbered on this 5th day of May 2025. All in favor? Carried. Business question period. Any questions from the audience?
The multi-sport court is that to replace
Tennis court.
tennis court?
Yeah.
And so it will be a court used for pickleball and basketball? Is that right?
And tennis.
And tennis. Yeah.
Sounds great.
I'll just check one more time here. Put it through twice in the chat, but any questions online, please type your questions into the chat. Going once. You can use the Q&A as well. Going twice. Third and final call online. Any questions? Don't see any questions online, Your Worship.
No. Next, we're going in camera. We have a motion moved by Councillor Duno, second by Councillor Dubé. Resolve that council move the next portion of this meeting in camera at 1951 to discuss approval of the minutes of the previous in camera session held April 7th, 2025, and one matter concerning a position plan procedure criteria for instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board regarding the Terrace-based project. All in favor? Carried. 5-minute recess.